Hi YouTube, Michelle, Day with 10. It's been a little while since I've done anything, and I'm actually going to be doing some canning today. I've actually been canning the last couple of weekends. I just haven't had a chance to bring the camera out and bring you along. I figured there's enough salsa recipes out there anyway. Today I've got these little beauties. These are chocolate habanero. We grew these this year in the garden and got quite a few of them. I've dehydrated a bunch of them that we will grind up to use for seasoning and stuff, especially, chicken wings. My husband enjoys chicken wings. So we took some of these to a friend of ours who asked if I could make some pineapple habanero jelly with them. Okay, challenge accepted. I'll give it a go. I looked around online. Actually, I went through all my cookbooks first, and I didn't find anything in any of my gazillion canning cookbooks that suited what I wanted to do with them. Or, I was going to have to combine a bunch of them, and I'm like, some of it called for just pineapple juice, some of it called for canned pineapple, and some of it called for fresh pineapple. I opted to go with fresh pineapple. I think that'll make a better quality. It won't have that tinny flavor that I detect in canned pineapple. I chose not to buy a whole one and have to wrestle with slicing it and peeling it and all that other good stuff. So I spent the extra money to get it already cut up for me. So we're going to give this a try. This is going to be a Rebel canning recipe, so I've not tried it before, just forewarning you in advance. I did not keep the website to it, simply because I am going to change up some things the way they have it done on there, because I don't agree with the order of which they're doing things. Also, I found the same recipe, two of them exactly the same. The only difference was the pectin. So anyway, let's go over the ingredients. First off, 15 habanero peppers. Normally habaneros are normal, just not a weird variety like I've grown, or orange, goldish yellow, but we're going to make do with what we have. In this container below here, I've got one orange bell pepper I've already sliced up because I was using it for salsa, to make salsa the other day, and I had leftover. Okay, we've got our pineapple cut up in chunks. It calls for 4 cups of that. I've got 5 cups of sugar in this bowl here. I've got our vinegar here, calls for 1 cup of distilled white vinegar. And this recipe calls for 1 3-ounce package of liquid pectin. I'm going to use both of them because I want to make sure it sets. It's humid and threatening to rain here today. I've always heard that humidity and rain can affect chili setting. I don't know how true that is. But the other recipe that was identical to this was the only difference. It had an extra pouch of pectin in it. It's not going to hurt anything. So anyway, I'm going to get the habaneros seeded and deveined. And I'm not going to bring you along for that. I've got to put on gloves and get messy with that. So once we have everything in the food processor ready to combine it, I'll bring you back. Okay, got my peppers in the food processor. I'm going to pour just a little bit of the vinegar in here, and I'm going to pulse these. Sorry, the habaneros still have me a little choked up. Pulse these a little bit, and then I'm going to add the pineapple to it. Looks pretty good. Start adding some pineapple in there. I don't think all of this is going to fit. Ooh, boy, those peppers are stout. A little more of the cup of vinegar. Alright, I still see some bigger chunks in there. There's one couple right here. But I don't want to pulverize this. So I'm going to pull out the immersion blender in a little bit once we have it in a pot. So next we're going to put this in a pot and cook it over some medium-high heats until we bring it to a boil. So boil it for about 10 minutes. Alright, this is what it looks like in the pot. I'm going to suggest you turn on an exhaust fan. These peppers are pretty potent. So I've got this on a medium-high heat right now, and it's already bubbling a good little bit. I'm going to bring it up to a little bit higher boil, but it says to stir constantly. So once it starts to really boil pretty good, see it bubbling down in there? Yeah, you can kind of see it. I'm going to start my timer for 10 minutes and let this cook. And excuse me, y'all, these peppers are really singeing my sinuses. So use caution when cooking with really hot peppers like this. Wear gloves. I probably should have a bandana or a mask on. Turn on an exhaust fan. This might have been a better idea to cook this outside. But anyway, we'll bring you back when we're ready to add the sugar. Alright, folks. Yep. Alright, folks, we're going to add the sugar. We've been hard boiling for about 10 minutes. This is 5 cups of sugar we're putting in here. I'm not going to dump it all in at once. I guess I could, but I'm trying to make sure it gets distributed evenly and mixed in well. And ooh, this is a bit warm. Be careful not to splash any of this hot liquid on you whatsoever, because it will burn. Alright, there's that. Okay, we're going to get this dissolved really well, and then we're going to add the pectin. Next, we're going to add in the first pouch of pectin. I've had this boiling for a good little bit. I'm trying to get my dishwasher to catch up with me. Sometimes with canning, it's all about timing. You got to get things just right. It's on the rinse cycle, and I'm hoping it'll finish up. So there's one. And we're going to add number 2. Try to squeeze all that out of there that we can. Don't want any of it to go to waste. Okay, there's that. Alright, we're going to bring this back up to a boil. A good hard boil. And we're going to turn on the timer for 2 minutes according to this. Now, one of the things I did differently was on this recipe was it wanted me to put the pectin in before the sugar. And I see I'm getting splatters on my camera too. That's probably not good. When using liquid pectin, every recipe I've ever seen is you put it in after the sugar's been dissolved in there. So I went and looked at the identical recipe, and it did it the way I'm used to doing it. So I figured they just got them reversed. So I'm reversing them back and put them the way they're supposed to be. So we're going to let this come up to a hard boil again and start the timer. And on jams and jellies, when you want one that you can't, when it says a hard boil, one you can't stir down very easily, that it comes right back like this one's starting to do. So I want it to go a little bit harder. There we go. Going to stir this constantly. I'm going to start my timer now, and we'll be back when we're ready to put this in a jar. Okay, we're ready to start jarring this up. I'm hoping this is going to solidify a little bit, and because I don't want floaty particles. Actually, they're setting pretty good. That's great. A lot of times when I make pepper jelly, the jalapenos tend to float to the top and settle there. I've learned to let my mixture sit for just a few minutes so I can stir it well and get the optimum amount, not get the floaties. We're going to want a 1/4 inch headspace on this, so I need to fill this a little bit more. That's the other thing I disagreed with on the recipe, was it said 1/8 of an inch, which that's where I just went to on that, so that's too much. I'll get a spoon, get some of that out of there till we hit a 1/4 inch. Okay, so actually could have gone just a little bit more. I'm going to say that's close enough. So we're going to debubble this a little bit. Also disperse those particles around because we want it to look nice and pretty in the jar. and wipe our rim, and that's really, really hot. Got some down the side of the jar. Okay. I want to get that really careful because I know I got some down the side. All right, get us a lid. Ring finger tight, and we are ready for the canner. So I'm going to go put this out in the canner, and I'll jar up the rest of these. Alright, let me hold one of these jars up for you now that I've just about finished. I've got a couple more jars, but I'm not going to make you sit there and watch all that. But that just great fruit and pepper suspension in there, and really looks pretty in the jar. Okay, y'all, it's been a few days since I made this. I made it on a Sunday. It's now Thursday. I was hoping it would finally set because it says at the bottom it may take a day or two. It has not. It's still kind of sloshing around in the jar in there, so it's really not so much a jam or jelly for me. It will set if you put it in the refrigerator. I did find that out. But it's more of a dipping sauce or a basting sauce as far as I'm concerned. I ended up with 4 half pints, and I had 5 of the 4-ounce jars. One of them has already been given away, and that person did love it, said it was the best he ever had, and he was going to be putting it on his pork chops that evening. So, this recipe is not an approved recipe. Okay, so this is a rebel, pretty much a rebel canning video, if you want to call it that, a rebel recipe. So for folks who are new at canning, I don't know that I would advise you to do this. There was a number of things I found in the recipe that I didn't, in the instructions I should say, that I didn't approve of. It wanted an 1/8 inch headspace. 1/4 inch is normal for jams or jellies. It wanted you to water bath it for 5 minutes. I did it for 10 because that's what's normal for jams and jellies. So anyway, the recipe went 15 habaneros. I would cut that back if I were to ever make this again to probably 4 or 5, maybe even less. It just depends on the amount of heat you want in this. 1 orange bell pepper, 4 cups of pineapple cubed, 1 cup of distilled white vinegar, 5 cups of sugar. It called for 3 ounces of liquid pectin. I used 2 pouches, which would be 6 ounces. It also had a pinch of salt. I did not put the pinch of salt in there. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Those of you who are really brave and daring, go ahead and give it a try. Let me know how it turns out for you. I appreciate you watching. Happy canning!